I'm Jane. This is our spiritual dimension of wellness, my favorite. And I hope that wherever you are right now, that you're doing well, that you're happy, that you're comfortable, and that life is being kind with you. Because life is always kind to us, but what do you do? Okay, so wherever you are, just so we can kind of drop in, just take a couple of deep breaths and begin to become really present to this now moment. Let the breath come in really deep and let your breath out soften your shoulders. Let the breath come in, nourishing your body, and breathe it out, just welcoming in a sense of peace. So, the spiritual dimension of wellness. I love it. And something that came through that I was wanting to share in this now is around faith. You know what? It's only when I record do I yawn. I guess. Thank you for your patience. Anyway, it's about faith, it's about trust, and it's about walking into new areas when we don't know what it's going to be like. So, excuse me. I just got back from Costa Rica just a couple days ago, and I am moving forward in a brand new direction in my life. And I am feeling this call and this pull, and I don't know the final destination. I don't know really much of anything right now. But what I do know is that I need to do X, Y, and Z so that the next steps can be made shown. And I was having a conversation with a friend just a little bit ago about all of this. And she reflected some things back that were just really helpful to hear from another person, from another human. Um, and so these are some of the things that I wanted to share about. And so hopefully it lands really kindly. Oftentimes we need to have a plan. We need to have a savings account. We need to have a backup plan. We we need to have steady income. We need to have all the bases covered. We need to have and know what X, Y, and Z could be so that we can be prepared for it wherever it is that we're moving in our life. We've been taught that. We're taught at an early age when we're asked as children, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you have a 5-year-old that says a veterinarian because kids like animals. And then next thing you know, they're like steered down this path and they learn quickly, well, if I go to veterinarian school, that's this many years and it's this many years of practice. And then this is how long it's going to take for me to be like successful or well known, or I can open my business or like whatever it is. And that's how we're trained. We're trained to know what is coming next because that's the responsible thing to do. And I can do that. I've done that. And what I've learned about myself is that way stresses me out. That way occupies so much space in my mind that I don't have then the time and space to listen to my heart, to listen to great spirit, to listen to source, to listen to love on what should I do next right now? Because I have a plan and I don't want to deviate from the plan because I don't want to mess it up. And what I'm really learning about this life of mine is that I can be responsible in devotion. I can be responsible in my practice, in my prayer, my meditation, and my movement. I can be responsible and devotional in all of that. And I can also allow myself to walk hand in hand with spirit into the great mystery. I don't want to know everything. I don't want to have it all planned out and figured out. I don't want to know what I'm going to do when I retire. I don't want to know who's going to take care of me when, because I don't think I know those people now. And I don't know when I'm going to retire. I don't know if I'm ever going to retire. What if I'm already retired? I don't have a regular jobby job, that I clock in and clock out at. I mean, I guess maybe I retired in 2017 to be of service. I don't know. I've told people that um, I am starting to sell my belongings so that I can travel, so I can be guided by the divine. And travel brings me a lot of joy. So that's a path that I'm ready to honor. And it's so interesting because I know that I'm going to be back in Costa Rica. And I've had so many people say, "Is that permanent?" And I understand that that's like where they are in their mentality is any decision we make, it's permanent. And I'm just here to say that nothing is permanent. Whatever decision we make is the decision that we make for this right now. And that we always get another opportunity to make another decision, to make another choice, to take a new step. And to me, that's living in the eternal now with the divine, if we're doing it in love. Like, I am trusting divine guidance in everything that I am doing now because everything that tells me outside of myself, like, you want to own property, like, don't sell your house. You need that. That's your investment. What are you going to do? Where are you going to live? And when I really feel into those questions, they elicit fear. Well, when I'm walking with the divine, there is no fear. It's full faith. It is full faith, full trust. And so when I feel into that, I'm like, well, so then what? I would keep my house, then I would keep my things, I would keep stagnant out of fear. Well, that doesn't align for me. I want to live an adventure and trust the whole time that I can take care of myself and that the Great Spirit will take care of me and that the communities will take care of me and that the earth will take care of me as I in turn take care of the earth and communities and each, like, humanity and life on earth in love and devotion. And what I'm also noticing is that it's not a common way of being to walk in so much trust and faith with the unseen forces of the divine. Because people generally don't have an understanding of it. People generally have a plan. And granted, I think plans are great to a certain extent. When plans become controlling, there's no divinity in that. There's no life in that because life itself is not controllable. It's not a controllable force. The divine is everything and you can't control source. That's silly. But I am trusting. So much yawning. I really don't like that. Anyway, um but I'm choosing faith and trust to continue to guide me. And the parts that are completely unknown, when I feel into that, I can go one of two ways. I can go into like, oh God, what is going to happen? And I'm afraid. And I can go into, I don't know what's going to happen and I'm excited. Either way, I don't know what's going to happen. And that's another thing. I've had plans in my life. I've had plans to stay at this job until I retired. I had plans to stay in that marriage until I died. I had plans to stay in that relationship until I had so many plans to stay in so many relationships until they ended. And so what I've learned is even if you make a plan and you stick to it and you devote yourself to it, you still end up in the unknown. Yeah. And I apparently like the unknown. I don't like boring. I don't like repetition. I don't like habit. Like I like rituals, and like habitual things like rituals, but I don't like stagnation. I like creation. I like newness. I like death. I love birth. I like all that life is. I love the messiness of it. I like the realness of it. I like the emotions of it. I like the elation of it. I like the basking of it. I love all of that life gives me when I allow myself to be in trust and faith and let my heart, my higher self, God source, guide me in what I do. And I share this because we don't have a lot of templates for that. We have a lot of templates that say that you need to stay in your job until you retire so that you can get your retirement. And if you don't have your retirement, you don't get Social Security. And if you don't get that, then you're screwed. That's what we're told. And I don't want to live the life that would warrant me that ending chapter. Because to me, that ending chapter would just come sooner because I would be living a life that I didn't want to live, you know? And so we don't have a lot of templates for living in the now and being in service and being in devotion and being in the masculine and being in the feminine and being in relationships. I don't have that many templates like here in this real world where I am. Not in the United States. Definitely not in the United States. And I love just the planning that some people can do and like this perseverance. And they're trusting more in the plan than the unfolding of the unknown. And what I'm realizing for me is I am choosing to trust more into the plan that's unfolding. I'm choosing to have more faith in the unknown. I am walking in faith in the unknown. And that's a little different. I think that's a lot of it different. I feel like we will trust the plan, you know. And it's interesting because like yeah, I keep finding myself in resistance to even planning anything right now. Like from planning my next gathering to planning my next meal to planning on when am I ever going to wash my hair because it's you got to plan. I got to plan for that. Um, I am in really big resistance to planning anything and really just going on inspired action, inspired timing. Yeah. And so I'm curious, like, when you ask yourself, Do I work? Do I live as a partner to my to the source? Am I the partner to the God? Am I a partner to Goddess, the universe, whatever that word is for you that you call the greater aspect of creation? Are you a partner to that? Do you allow yourself to be guided by the divine? Do you allow yourself to be shown the way by the divine? Do you allow yourself time and space to listen to the divine, to creator, to your highest self, to the fullness of love? Or do you have your nose to the grindstone, working so much because you set a plan in action, however many nows or years and years of nows ago, that you're more devoted to the plan than to the divine? And my request for humanity is that we listen to the request of the divine, that we listen to the request, the calling, the pull of love, of joy. Like if it's a, yeah, that feels like love, that feels like bliss, that feels so, yeah, that resonates in my soul as a full yes. To follow in those steps, to go for the more of that. And not, oh my God, that feels so good, but I gotta go because I have to go to bed at 8 o'clock because I have to clock in at 5 a.m. or whatever. Walking in trust and faith is it's a different gait. It's a different stepping. It's a different movement because there are no answers to it when questions are asked. Where are you going to go? I don't know. How are you going to get there? I'm not sure. Well, how are you going to pay for that? I don't really know. And yet there's a deep understanding and trust that my higher self, my future self, the divine, knows where I'm going, wants me there, is calling me there, is pulling me there. And I'll get glimpses and inspirations and ideas and ooh, I want to go to here. I want to go here. Like, for example, I got back to Charlotte Tuesday afternoon. And so it's only been a couple days since I've landed. First thing I wanted to do was get in my car and take a road trip. Take a road trip, do it. Just take a road trip. And I was like, I can't really do that. Like I have an obligation this weekend to speak at a festival. And it was like, yeah, but you really want to take a road trip. You really want to take a road trip right now. Like you really, really want to do that. And I'm like, yeah, but I got to do these things. And, if I sell my house and I need to do that and I need to figure out how I'm going to get back to Costa Rica and, da, 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 and all these things. But what's calling me right now is to take a freaking road trip. So I can hear, right? Like I can hear this calling, I can feel it. And that's what, to me, that's how we know the divine is calling us. It's like you keep having the same desire. And it's interesting because old me, the desire would have been for like drugs or some other bullshit substance, or let me just zone out and watch TV, you know, or let me eat a gallon of ice cream, or let me distract myself by calling someone just to so they can feed my ego or whatever. But like that's different. Like it's not that those weren't callings. Those were addictive patternings. And I'm like, well, is it in so that's when we start to like question the calling, right? Like, well, is it in the highest and best good for me to take a road trip now? And then being able to hear the answer. And if the answer is yes, then am I willing to do what it takes to do the road trip, right? Am I willing to cancel this obligation? Am I willing to do whatever X, Y, and Z to do what I'm being called? Am I willing to take those steps to meet the divine wherever? You know, Is this the right time for me to take a road trip? And that might be like, oh, no, 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 no. You're just hearing the calling. It's not right now. You have to wait, but you got to do these other things here. So do your obligations now, and then you're going to take that road trip. Okay, okay. So that's the relationship with the divine. That's how I've been forging my relationship with Source. Is I get this calling, and instead of me just like, like running right through to it or completely ignoring it, I have a conversation. It's almost like a relationship with a partner. If the partner's like, I'm hungry, and you're like, I mean, I'm not really that hungry, but I will be hungry in a little bit. And they're like, well, I can wait a little bit. Okay, cool. What sounds good to you? I mean, I don't know. I really don't care. Well, I don't really care either. And you have this whole conversation until you both decide that let's go eat X, Y, and Z for dinner at this time. And then there's also the times, side note, where you're like, in this concept of the relationship and the partner's hungry, and you're like, I just want to be with you and I am along for the ride. Pick me up and I'll be ready. And then there are other times when the divine is like speaking through me as me, right? It's like, I'm hungry. What do I want? I want pizza. Okay, let's go. And but there's a type of a dialogue, an inner dialogue that happens for me to walk hand in hand with the divine, to be in a total walk of faith. I'm not just listening to my ego. I'm not choosing to do what's coming forth for me to do to satisfy just Jane. Because just Jane would be satisfied in staying put. It's way more easy. I know the whole fucking city. I've got a dope ass house and a dope ass garden. I have everything I need. I've got comfort. I have everything I need. So I would be serving me if I stayed in that comfort zone. So I know that what I'm being called to do out of my comfort zone, it lights me up. It's like when I've jumped off rocks and waterfalls. That's some scary shit. That's out of my comfort zone. But it was so profound to do it, you know? Like getting in I was at this river in Costa Rica this last time, and the water's so freaking cold, yo. Like it's cold. And like the waterfalls and the water's rushing. Like it's fast. And you get in there and you're like, you gotta get just right so that you don't get swept down the river. Just fun stuff like that. And it's so enlivening. And it was so like, yes, and just so exhilarating. But I had to get out of my comfort zone for that. And that feeling of exhilaration, that connecting with the elements, to me, that is the divine. The divine is exhilaration. So for me to walk hand in hand in faith with the divine, it's not just serving me. It's not to make my life easier. Um, it's to make my life more enjoyable because I know that when I'm in more joy, I serve more. I'm more of service on the earth plane. When I'm happier, I I'm able to serve more of humanity, you know. When I feel easeful and liberated and expansive, right, which is growth, then I feel inspired to, hold more ceremonies, and I feel inspired to write and to do the things that's for others. Um, I love little pop-ups on the computer. Anyway, um, and so that's just my invitation is for all of us to just give it a try. It doesn't mean you have to be so dramatic like me and completely uproot everything ever. Um, and, what if you have a day off and, your normal habit is to, this. Like you have your set schedule. So, what if you allowed yourself one day where when you wake up, you lay in bed with your hands on your heart and you ask yourself, if I could do anything today, what would it be? If I could do anything, what would it be? And just listen to see what comes through. And then honor it, and what if you're like, well, if I really want to go to the beach, but you live in the middle of Indiana, you may not be able to. Well, maybe that means then you walk down to, or you go to a lake or to a pool and you just sit by the water, or like, like, so we can honor it in the best ways we can. Like, when there are times when I'm like, I just want to get back out in nature when I'm here in the city. Depends on what time I have. If I only have an hour, I don't have time to drive anywhere. But I can walk literally in my neighborhood to this little greenway where there's a creek. And I found a little path that I can sit at the water. And I'm like secluded. Nobody knows I'm there. So that's when I'm listening. I'm having the conversation with the divine, right? And I hear what I'm being called to do, go to water, be in nature. And then I honor it, I do it. And then that shows the divine that they want to be in a relationship with me. Like, okay, I like that. Thank you, human. Thank you. Yay. And it's like any relationship, right? Like, imagine if you're in a partnership and you're like, hey, what do you want to eat for dinner? And they're like, I would love pizza. And you're like, that's great because we're getting sushi. They'd be like, why would you even ask? Like, rude. So when we get these ideas and these hits to like do something, call someone, write something down, move our bodies, do it, that's walking with the divine. And you might find that with that um practice, that eventually the divine gets really loud, and the divine may say, you know go to the store right now. And you're like, all right, cool. I'll listen. I hear you. I trust you because you have not steered me wrong. And you go to the store, and next thing you know, you got a winning lottery ticket handed to you. Look at that. You know what I mean? Like that. So that's how walking in trust and faith with the divine works for me. And it looks different for everyone. I like to do things in like new ways. I like to do something challenging that that expands my mental, physical, and emotional capacity. Yeah. So that's why I choose to do big things, you know? And I look at other people's lives and I'm like, they do this all the time. What am I doing? But for some people, for them to stay put would be the challenge, Trust that I'm safe to put down roots. I know I'm safe to put down roots. I put down roots everywhere I go. So let's test the boundaries of of my capacity to love and be in joy while I walk into the unknown with the divine guiding me, holding me, leading the way, showing me the way. I'm asking daily, multiple times a day for clarity and guidance and support. And and I got to be willing to take that guidance and to act with that clarity and to receive that support. Like, kind of got you gotta, if you want to walk with the divine, if you want to walk in faith. I can talk about faith all day, but what action am I doing? That Am I walking in faith? It's brand new territory every level I move to. So I've been walking in faith. I walked in faith when I quit my job in 2017, when I just have done big things in my life. It's been a lot of trust and a lot of faith. And this one is by far the biggest. So let me know how you're walking in faith, how you walk in faith. How do you hear the divine? How do you let yourself be led? Do you not? Do you resist it? Do you have fear of letting go of control? Do you have fear of not having a plan, of not having enough? And these are all things that are really reflective questions, because if I fear these things, then I'm letting go of the hand of the divine that wants to guide me home. So I'm sending you all so much love, and I'm hoping to see everybody in person very soon. I'll find out more details because I just don't know them right now. So I'm sending so much love and um, wishes of so much grace to flow through all of us as we navigate whatever path we're on, whether we're doing it alone, with support of the seen forces or the unseen forces. Let us all just walk with so much grace. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you on another now.